is. Welcome aboard. Happy Thursday, everybody. This is, of course, your favorite show that's on every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. It's heading back to the window with Scott and Scott. And, of course, I am half the Scotts. I am Scott Steen, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm your co-host, Scott Redshaw, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
And together, like I said, we do it every day, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, right here on whatever your favorite streaming platform is. Ryan Page checking in, said big winning day yesterday. Thanks for the football picks. You bet, buddy. We had a good day yesterday at football. Today, I'm off to a rocky start, Scott. I had a 2-team money line parlay. First game, North Carolina. Well, see you later. Thanks for watching, everybody. At least you have the rest of the day free. You don't have to sweat that late game. So,
I think on the bowl game video, we split that one because we both liked the over.
Yep. And it got there. No sweat.
Yep.
Oh, man. Can you explain that North Carolina team to me, how they just fucking no-showed against just a really bad South Carolina team?
The way that I see it is that North Carolina, I can't even say they didn't want to be there because it looked like they were trying. I just think their defense was a lot worse than people remembered it being.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of one of those absence makes the heart grow fonder situations where you think because it's been so long, maybe they learned something. Maybe they're not as bad as I remember. And then you realize, oh, that's how they gave up 50-something points several times.
Yeah, that's true. Max Moran checking in. Said Scott saved me from Bama yesterday. It was close.
I think that was the opposite. I saved you from Tennessee. I liked Bama yesterday.
No, I think he meant me. You remember my name is Scott also.
But I'm saying saved him. Bama won.
They didn't cover.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
They're favored by 2.5. They won by 5.
No. That went off at like 5 or 6, bud.
Bama went off as 5-point favorites against Tennessee.
Yeah, let me. I can't. I don't have yesterday's line, but
I remember when we did the show, it was around 2.5.
Yeah, Brad Crawford said hopefully today we can go as well. North Carolina sucks. Yes, so not off the start we're looking for. Agreed. Best move I made there was not laying the 10. Oh my God. All right, so we got a lot more bowl games. And of course, we have the big bowl game dump that'll be coming on right after our show. Scott and I will be taking a look at all the New Year's Day bowls. And then, Scott, after then, we'll have how many bowl games left?
Not many. 2?
Just 2. We'll have the national championship and, of course, K-State. So let's go Sparty. Where are you at on that one, buddy?
I'm going Sparty. I know we disagreed on that one, but when you have a game involving several opt-outs, I'll take the team with the starting quarterback and their offensive coordinator. Still there. So I'll go with Michigan State.
How'd those opt-outs go for South Carolina today?
They looked pretty good.
Yeah, but Bama line to go up to 4 to 5. Yep. So I backed off betting. I swear I saw 6.
It might have been right before game time, but I remember on the show it was around 2.5 or 3.
Yeah, and it was tied at halftime. It was tied.
Tennessee was winning with like 6 minutes to go, give or take. But Bama at home in those conference games, you can't underestimate how important home court actually is.
Well, let's kick it off here. Let's talk about some of the good news and the bad news yesterday. There were some winners, and of course, Scott, there were some whiners. That's the way it works. For every winner, there must be a whiner. But we'll get the bad news out of the way first, and then we'll do nothing but talk about the good stuff as we unveil the one and only. You know it, you love it. It's our favorite segment around here. It's Call the Cops. And I lied. I think as long as we're winning, Bet the Farm's my favorite segment. It's the one. It's the most fun right now. So of course, before we do call the cops, I got to take care of the house cleaning stuff. I'm not used to having a big time sponsor here, so apologies for the premature interruption here. Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff. Rate, review if you listen to us in podcast form. Check out our buddy Chris King and our other pal Jim Williams as they do their show every day, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, just parlays. And still, they are on fire over there. And of course, talking about our big time sponsor, it is the one and only Caesars Sportsbook, running a great promotion right now, my friend. First time depositors can make a risk-free bet up to $1,001, win, lose, or draw. It's very, very cool. No risk on your part at all. Perfect way for new bettors. If you haven't checked out the Caesars app or their online site, really get a super deal. So just download the Caesars app or go to the website if you prefer to do that old school like yours truly. Put in the promo code Video Winners, and you'll get that opening bet match, win, lose, or draw, up to $1,001. You must put in that video code. And, of course, you have to make sure that the offer is valid in your state, and you must be 21 to play. All right, so welcome aboard, Caesars. It's great to have you. Do check that out, guys. If you're a big-time sports bettor, or even a moderate-time sports bettor, might give you an opportunity to step up in weight class where you normally don't play for that kind of money, but it's risk-free. So what do you got to lose? Nothing. That's the answer. All right, Scott. So as far as call the cops go, it was not a good day yesterday for a few people. Let's start off with the Pistons. If you have the Pistons plus 8.5 going up against the Knicks, the Pistons led by 7 after the third quarter. That's exactly where you want to be if you're counting at home. That's 15.5 points you have to play with. You know what you can't have? You can't have being outscored by 16 or more in the fourth quarter, and that's exactly what happened as the Pistons went out and put up 14 points. Congratulations. Thanks for the effort, boys. They're outscored 30-14 in the fourth quarter. Pistons lose by 9. Congratulations. You got hooked, and it's time to call the cops.
And looking at hockey, if you had the Rangers and Panthers under 6 goals, you had 3 goals entering the third period, so you're in decent shape. Can I interest you in 4 goals in the third period alone? Game ended 4-3. Not a fun time.
Betting under in hockey right now is a tricky proposition, but there was one that hit. And of course, if you had the Oilers Blues over 6.5, you didn't think that was going to be one of those unders because they had 6 goals with 16 seconds gone in the third period. You just need one more score in the next 1944. Couldn't get it. Game landed 6. Congratulations if you had the over 6.5. Time for you to pick up your hockey stick and call the cops.
And it was an even worse beat because it wasn't 5-1 or 6-0. It was 4-2. So you know a team pulled the goalie with about 4 minutes to go in the game.
Right.
Didn't matter.
Brutal. Hey, speaking of Canadian hockey, new episodes of Letterkenny out. I'm pretty excited about that. You a Letterkenny fan, Scott?
I cannot say I'm familiar with his work.
Oh, I gotta watch Letterkenny. It's on Hulu. Definitely check it out. Funniest series like nobody watches, but it's hilarious. So now we did talk about the whiners. Let's talk about the winners. And these are the people that are right where you wanted to be. You know who you are. You had those winning tickets locked up early because you were sitting in the rocking chair.
So first one was in college football. If you had Oklahoma team total over 35.5 against Oregon, it sounded like a big number. It wasn't. They scored 30 points in the first 30 minutes, finished with 47.
Very nice. I know that one went the way we thought. Maybe not quite the blowout. We didn't think it would be quite that much of a blowout, but Oklahoma, pretty good team when they get it all together there, Scott. Not bad.
I like Williams.
Not bad at all. Looked good last night, didn't he? And if you didn't see that throw, I texted it to you. If you guys didn't see that throw right before halftime, absolute dime. Threw it from the 45, from their own 45-yard line, hit him in stride right about the 6. Just a beautiful throw on a rope. Just the kind of throw you just sit back and go, yep, that kid's got a future. So if you had Maryland minus 4.5 against Virginia Tech, good one there. They led by 14 at halftime, and they didn't piss it away, Scott. In fact, they ended up winning by 44. Virginia Tech absolutely just dialed it in there in the second half. That was a nice premium winner to start the day off for my folks, and we will take it sitting in the rocking chair.
And the last one, if you had college basketball action and you had Air Force and Utah State under 131.5, each half had less than 53 points. Game landed at 96.
Very nice. Well, Scott, we always are. We're a show that likes to be equal. We like to pat ourselves on the back when we get one right, but we're also not going to shy away from things that we get wrong. And we're going to talk about it because we had a game yesterday that both of you and I liked quite a bit. I probably liked it more than you did. William and Mary, just been an awful team going up against a pretty good team that had performed very well on the road. And things didn't work out all that well. Let's find out why indeed, Scott. We weren't mad. We were definitely disappointed. So I feel like I stole the thunder there a little bit, but here's the situation. William and Mary was 0-12 against the spread, and they were taking on a Hofstra team that had been playing very well. In fact, had a couple of superb outright victories on the road, one of them coming against Arkansas. They were 15.5-point favorites. You and I had no qualms about laying that number against William and Mary. Not only did William and Mary cover that number, they won the game outright. Congratulations to Bill and Mary picking up their second win of the year, their first cover. Fuck you, Hofstra. You're dead to me for at least a week. Scott,
It's a bit ironic that they're the Hofstra Pride, and it was anything but a prideful showing.
Maybe it was definitely not Pride Week. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So there was a kind of some excitement going on yesterday, and if you were betting in the NBA, you might have been a little bit. You might have been a part of that excitement, Scott. I'm going to let you talk about this. We're going to unveil our gambling hero of the day. Go ahead, my friend.
So you had a late game in the NBA between the Kings and the Mavericks, and Kings forward is actually coming off the bench. Chimezie Metu hit a game-winning three-point shot at the buzzer with his team trailing by 2. Now that was important because the spread in that game was Kings +1. So whether you had the money line or the spread, if he missed it, you lost. If he hit it, you win, and he hit it, so you won.
It's a beautiful thing. He is the gambling hero of the day. Hopefully some of you guys were on that. All right. So let's catch up with some of the comments here. North Carolina.
I see a lot of comments about bankrolls and trying to maintain longevity when it comes to sports betting.
Yes, I always agree with that. Yep. I think, is that probably the number one problem that people have by betting too much money? You talk about min max, and so here's what I do. I base it on a percentage of my bankroll, whatever my bankroll happens to be at that particular time. So usually it's going to be somewhere between 1% and 3% of my entire bankroll is what I'm going to be betting per game.
Occasionally, you'll throw in a big bet on something you like, maybe a 5%er, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I would say I make maybe 5 to 8 to 5% bets over the course of like a college football season or something like that. So
mine varies because for actual games, I'm probably around the same number. For awards and stuff that's almost a gimme, I will actually lay like 20%. There are some awards where you can just lay it. I mentioned the Arozarena AL Rookie of the Year award thing a couple of months ago. I hammered the hell out of it.
Yep. That was an easy one. I was on that as well.
But you kind of gotta have to. You gotta pick your shots. Roland thinks that people sometimes bet 10 to 15. That's a bit much when it comes to
we call those people reloaders.
Yes, because they're gonna bust at some point and reload the account.
As you've seen it, we run in streaks. We put our farm together, and we've been farming really well here for like the last 3 weeks. But before that, we went through a couple week period where we couldn't win a game. We were, I don't know what we were, like 3-7, 2-8 over that stretch. So, if you're betting 10 or 15% and you hit a patch like that, you're fucked, and you're not around for the good swings. And
the only thing I'll say is that not even just us, if you follow any other professional handicappers that sell picks, that do any type of service, if they actually disclose what percentage that they're actually going to be betting on each game, it's usually between 1% and 3%. Usually.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. Magellan Sports has just put your entire bankroll on each play. Well, that's one way to do it. Hopefully you start off hot. That's all I'm saying. I'm conservative, Scott, and I at various times in my life have played for a lot more money. But it just all has to do with how much roll you've got. I had to tap some of my accounts for COVID last season, and then kind of kept everybody going, helped the kids out a little bit. So my unit size is a little less than it had been before that. But
I
I
hate
agree as
assuming the
far.
negative in situations, but when it comes to gambling, you should never bet what you cannot afford to lose. It's as
Yeah, I mean,
simple as that.
it sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't heed that advice. So definitely, and the biggest mistake I would think people make is something that you think is a lock, like that North Carolina game. You look at South Carolina, you look at their opt out, you look at their seasons, you look at the two teams playing. I thought there was no way that South Carolina would even come within a sniff of picking up that victory. But as you saw, things go sideways, man. Defenses don't show up. They're even worse than you remember, and shit happens. And now where you'd be staring at a very long day instead of just one loss, but with 3 games left to go. So Ryan says it's been learning extremely hard to hit any more than a 14 parlay. May as well stick to 3 teamers, just single bet. Yeah, we talked a little bit about parlays yesterday.
Even 3-teamers are pushing it, to be honest.
And you don't have to be a math wizard to figure out odds on parlays. If you start with the premise that any game is a 50-50 chance, if you want to figure your parlay odds in a 3-teamer, you go 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. That brings you to 1/8, 7-1 should be your true odds. What are you getting on a 3-teamer, Scott?
Not 7-1.
Nope, you're getting 6-1. You may
I was going to say around 6, sometimes 5.5.
Yeah, I was going to say if you're using a guy in the corner, you may be getting 5 or 5.5. But if you say, well, 6-1, that's about the same as 7-1, except that's a 14%. That's a 14% nut right there that you're paying. That's 14% juice on a 3-teamer, and it goes even worse as you go up. So do be careful about playing multi. And obviously, it's like talking to somebody about the penny slots. And people say, well, I like to pay the penny slots. And you tell them, well, penny slots have an 86% payout, for give or take, while a dollar slot probably has 94, 95, something like that. Because, I'd never play a dollar slot. But they'll sit there and play a penny slot and put $3 a spin. And they've always got an anecdote when you tell them it's not a very good move to play penny slots. They've always got a story about how they hit a jackpot, how they did this, how they did that. And it's just a losing proposition. So that's the same with playing parlays. Over the long term, you may hit a monster, but over the long term, it's just not going to be a winning strategy. And you Roland says you can't predict upsets.
In some capacities, yeah. The point is that the more picks you add into a parlay, the more variance you're obviously going to have. So even though you could be laying minus 500s, minus 700s, throwing a huge money line parlay, all it takes is one.
Yep, that's it. You just got to have one game go sideways, and you're totally screwed. A bad turnover, something like that. So, all right, let's take a look at the game. We got a fairly big card tonight, Scott. Some games haven't been canceled, so
yet, but good start.
What are you looking at in college right now that you like? I know we have a farm play a little bit later. Anything in college basketball get your attention?
Well, looking at the college basketball card, you had 3 ranked teams that were supposed to play. All 3 of them got canceled. So fun times ahead. Looking at some of the underrated matchups on the actual card. There's one game I was fascinated by. I actually didn't pull the trigger on, but I am curious about it. Is Utah Valley against Abilene Christian? And I know that Utah Valley was -1 at home last night. Now they're +1, so there is a bit of a favorite switch there. But I find the game fascinating because Abilene Christian is 9-2. Utah Valley is 9-3. We know Utah Valley beat BYU earlier this season. But Abilene has been facing off against a bunch of non-D1 schools. They have 4 wins against non-D1 teams. So the 9-2 record seems inflated to me. I like Utah Valley at home because Abilene has not played a road game since the 3rd game of the season. But I was going to ask you, how important is it? It's kind of a rhetorical question because I'm sure we're going to agree on the same point. But when you're going through stats, how important is it to add context? Because you could see a team that's averaging a bunch of rebounds just to realize they're playing against Mississippi Valley State or playing against some random Carver College, and they record 70 rebounds and everything is completely skewed because of one outlier.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And you and I, we ran across this as we were handicapping our Bet the Farm play. and we had some stats, and we needed to check our source to make sure that they included just D1 games. And some places do. Some places include all games, and you have to be
ESPN does
careful.
not. ESPN does not.
Does not what?
Does not exclude the games against community college,
No.
penitentiary, university.
Neither does StatFox, and StatFox is one that I use a lot. They're usually a very good site. They're kind of they use the old scores and odds skins. If you remember scores and odds from about 3 years ago, where they break down the games individually. It's the same skin, but they include all the games that have been played, and it's very, very misleading because if you look, for example, you look at Abilene Christian, they played a 3-pack, Scott, to start the season off at home. They played McMurray, Shriner, and Dallas. They scored 89, 88, 108 against those 3 teams. That is not a fair indicator of how they do. And then they played Howard.
Then they
Payne.
played another non-D1 team and scored 112. So
played Howard Payne. I don't know if it's Tom's brother or who. I don't even know who Howard Payne is, but they win that one by 70. So yeah, probably not a true indicator. But you look a little closer, and some of those stats don't match up very well. Now they have covered Abilene Christian, Scott. I will say this: ACU has covered every game they've played. They've played 61 schools, and they have covered the number against every single one of them. So, something to take a look at. But Utah Valley State, one of the bigger surprises of the season, playing very good defense, coming off a win at Washington. They beat Washington by 16 as 5.5-point dogs. That's a solid win. I probably don't love it as much as you do here, but I think
I was just throwing out food for thought because a lot of people look at the numbers. I think Abilene's a good team. Of course, they beat Texas last year, so you know that they actually have beaten some teams within the last couple of years. But I do think that people are going to look blindly at the stats, points per game, points allowed per game, stuff like that. And it is important to mention, just as a general rule of thumb, always include context, because there's a lot of really bad non-D1 teams. And if you're playing 5 of them or something around there, your numbers will be inflated.
Yep, very good. Ryan Page says, or Zach Vaughn says, when you call it bet the farm, how much is the farm worth? Units or percentage? How else do you lay that? I'm going to be honest. I have varying degrees of love for the farm plays. Sometimes
same here.
Sometimes we don't have a great card to choose from, and we're kind of just forced to make a play. I'm putting 1 or 2% on that. Some of them I absolutely adore and think they're stone cold locks. Loved the play yesterday from LeBron, and I will give full credit to you, even though it's quote unquote my farms right now, where we alternate back and forth. I was hung up doing behind the scenes technical shit yesterday, and Scott actually found the LeBron rebound stat, and when I finally got to the show, I saw what he'd written and loved it. So
I told him straight up, no offense, didn't want to step on your toes, but we got in about 10 minutes and I did all the stuff already. So There we go.
Yeah. So why do you guys think Michigan isn't the favorite in tomorrow's game? Their wins are way more impressive than Georgia. That's a great question, because I know you and I did our bowl preview series on all those games yesterday. I think you and I pretty much came down the same place on this one, didn't we?
Well, we picked Georgia to win. We weren't picking Michigan to pull off the upset. I think they're live. I don't think they're going to win the game. But a lot of it is SEC bias. And I feel like people are going to continue to bet the SEC because I forgot the thing. It means more. Isn't that the slogan they're going with that they started 0-4 with? It means more.
Yes. They finally picked up a win in the most unlikely spot today. That was their first bowl win to South Carolina. Got that one. James S. wants to know about the Bucks tonight, minus the 9.
That's first half.
What's that?
That's minus 9.
I'm sorry, first half. Oh, I was thinking. Oh, you're right. I
can't hate that. The thing is, I don't really like backing the favorite in back-to-back matchups, but they faced Orlando 3 times this season, and they've smacked them in the first half every time.
Yep.
Because Orlando's not good at basketball. They're missing a bunch of guys, and Milwaukee's fully healthy, and they're really good. So you're not going to get any type of pushback from me. Milwaukee, when they actually try, can beat this Orlando team by 40 anytime they want to.
Yep. Quick reminder that Orlando's without Bamba. They're without Cole Anthony.
Anthony's the big one.
A bunch of other role players they're missing as well. Of course,
I will give a shout out though to Wagner, because Wagner at 38 when I took the Bucks minus 13 against them the other night. I was wrong about Wagner. Guy can play.
Yeah, I
Guy's
thought he was
good.
going to be. I thought he was going to be shit too. I wasn't that impressed when he was at Michigan, but
Well, we saw his last game against UCLA. What do you have? 0 points? Like 0 for 8 from the floor, 0 for 9 from the floor, and it's like this guy's a top 10 pick. What's going on?
yep.
And then you actually watch him play. Orlando might have actually not butchered a draft pick for once. Wagner looks really good.
Yeah, just a quick reminder: the games this year have had Milwaukee ahead by 27 at halftime, 31 at halftime, or excuse me, 41 at halftime, and 12 at halftime. So they have done well first half against Orlando. In fact, even going back to last season, 11-point lead, 19-point lead, and a 9-point lead. So I would say the last 6, they are 6-0 ATS first half. So it's hard not to like that. Got any thoughts on the Canucks tonight, Scotty?
Canucks are undefeated with the new coach. I backed them as an underdog a couple weeks ago against San Jose. They're, I believe, 7-0 with Boudreau as the coach. So I would keep backing Vancouver. I mean, if you're undefeated with a coach and you're getting plus money, I kind of have to like it. It's not like the Kings are a good team. They're 14, 12, and 5. They're in currently possession of the third to last spot in the Pacific Division. Vancouver's in second to last place, but we're going by recency, just by recent performances here. Vancouver's undefeated with the new coach. So give me the plus money all day, every day.
Okay. Roland says he's heard people are on the under in the Bucks game. I don't hate it. I mean, you're counting on Orlando to do their job, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to get there. This is a Magic team with seemingly no magic, Scott. They did put up 110 the last time against Milwaukee.
Well, the issue that you run into with unders is the fact that Milwaukee's up so many points that they will take their foot off the gas for at least a quarter. And you've seen it in every single game. Orlando, I believe in 2 of the 3 meetings, scored about 37 points in the fourth quarter. And the last game they played, they scored 30-something in the third quarter when they were already down 20. So Orlando is a team that when Milwaukee's dialed in defensively, they're not going to score. But the question is Milwaukee going to be dialed in for the entire 48 minutes when they'll probably be up 20-something at some point during the game?
Seems unlikely. It really does. Somebody was asking about Dixie State playing Tarleton State. Dixie State catching 3.
I found that line fascinating. It was 4.5 last night.
I've found some of the line moves weird. I gotta be honest with you. I really have.
Well, I understand that move. I was more curious of why Tarleton was favored by 4.5 when the actual lines came out. I'm curious how much bias has to do with Tarleton competing with Michigan and Gonzaga about a month ago. But you're going by recent performances. Dixie State's been the better team. So you give me a home team plus money, and they've looked better lately. I was fascinated that they opened up at 4.5. I'm not surprised. Money's come in on Dixie. Dixie, I think, has a good shot to win the game. So I'm definitely not going to lay the points with Tarleton.
Yeah, they're looking at, I think, Tarleton's recent performances where they had a couple of nice wins as dogs. Or well, they were actually favorites against Air Force, but they win by 22 as a 7.5-point chalk.
Do you agree? It's about bias for who they played in the beginning of the season, how they almost beat Gonzaga. I got to assume that's part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what to make of this Dixie State team. They played 2 games against Southern Utah so far. First game of the season, and the last game they played. First game of the season, they win by 7. Last game, they lose by 28. So I don't know what to make of this Dixie State team.
I'm not surprised money's come in on Dixie. That's my point.
No, I agree with that. I would. That's a tough one for me. I'm probably going to.
It's tough, but it's points or pass for me. Yeah,
it's hard. You've got to really be sure if you're going to take a home dog. I mean, if you're gonna take a road favorite, you got to really be sure. And default position, I'm probably going to take the points in the home team there.
I see somebody asking about FIU against Old Dominion. Looking at that game, I actually like a total in that one. I like the under. And I know it's a low total. There's been money on the under. I really don't care. Dominion is such a slow-paced team. it's really just a good spot for a 50-something game. I really don't see many quality offensive possessions in that game. I'm going to have to go ahead and go with the under.
Yeah, this FIU team just cannot score the rock at all.
And Old
Hey,
Dominion is not exactly a great offense either.
no, this is just because they run so slow, man. By the way, our new IUPUI, Scott, they came through last night, Eastern Illinois. They put up 50. I know that game stayed under the total. I think it landed in the one teens somewhere, about maybe 132 was their number. So it went well under the total. So keep your eye on Eastern Illinois. I wouldn't be surprised to see that pop up in some fashion for some of our picks here going forward. Grand Canyon by $1 million. Magellan, we looked at that one and we talked about that as Bet the Farm. We had it at 22. That's a ton of points, but they're playing a really bad team. Scott, you want to speak on that one? I think I will call that like a bronze medal contender for the Bet Farm play today. We didn't hate it. We didn't hate it, but we found one that we liked better.
Yeah, we decided that at the end we weren't sure if Grand Canyon would be fully engaged for the entire 40 minutes, because that's the issue when you're laying these huge numbers. The question is, at some point, you know that Grand Canyon is going to be covering. The question is, are they going to care enough to actually win this game by 30? Now, Chicago State's been getting buried by decent competition. They lost to Drake by 37. Drake's not even that great this year. Lost to Iowa State by 31, which is not great. They lost to Northern Illinois. That's a bad team by 11. Lost to Illinois State by 10. But you're going down the line. Chicago State has not lost many games by 20-plus points. They've lost a couple, not as many as you'd like. And I think that Grand Canyon's going to win. They could easily win by 30, but we ended up going elsewhere.
Don't hate a first half play there if you want to take a first half minus 13, 14, whatever that ends up being. I don't hate you for that. I'll tell you that Grand Canyon, that last performance against San Francisco, where they put up just 49 points, they ended up winning the game, but and covering. But San Francisco obviously a very good team as well. But don't hate it. For me, it would be Grand Canyon or pass, or Grand Canyon first half, preferably on that one.
Yeah, 0% chance I'm going to make an argument for Chicago State plus the points.
JC Stone just said, I spent the actual time at the Caesars Sportsbook back in the 80s. Horse racing section was actually bigger than the sportsbook. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if there's an old school sportsbook, I've been there in Vegas. The new stuff, I haven't been to Vegas in a few years, so some of the new ones I haven't been to, but I loved Caesars. I loved the Hard Rock. I loved the vibe at the Hard Rock. It wasn't as big or as fancy as some of the other sportsbook, but it was a very cool vibe.
I thought Circa was nice.
I haven't been to Circa yet, but I haven't been to the downtown stuff.
Circa, I thought was interesting because the indoors, of course, you have some seats available. You can reserve seats. We end up getting regular seats, but that a bunch of TVs, casual sportsbook stuff. It was fun, and then you go outside for the actual pool watching
the tiers and stuff.
Which, don't get me wrong, was very cool. You can chill out, get a tan while you're watching, pay for some overpriced drinks and food. But it was tough for me to fully enjoy it as a gambler because you're not going to bring your laptop and do research while you're by the pool. So if you're trying to look for second half plays or keep tabs on injury news and everything like that, it's almost impossible with the EDM music in the background and with the alcohol past or whatever. Do your research before you go. That's my tip for you if you're going to Circa Swim.
Okay, very good. That's good looking out. Somebody asked about Arizona State tonight against Wisconsin. Arizona State missing their top two running backs. That's a huge factor for me, Scott. You?
I like Wisconsin because I said going into the bowl season, I was going to back the Big Ten. I just think the Big Ten's a good conference as a whole. And they're consistent. You know what you're going to get. You know that if there's one conference I've hated the entire season, it's the Pac-12.
Pac-12.
And that's not even to mention the opt-outs. But I'm just looking at the situation that Wisconsin should dominate up front. We know that the ground game with Allen is really, really good. Mertz isn't a great quarterback. I'm aware of that. But Daniels isn't a great thrower either. If Arizona State's using the third-string running back and they cannot throw the ball, or they cannot run the ball, Daniels will throw at least 2 or 3 interceptions. This defense is that good. I see a lot of issues for Arizona State up front.
Yeah, this Arizona State team relied so much on their running attack. Daniels has thrown 10 touchdown passes this year and 9 picks. So they're definitely going to get after him. I just think I'm a big fan of looking into seeing which game has the potential to turn a team one-dimensional and then fading that team that is going to be a one-dimensional team. And I think that's a situation you've got at Arizona State, where you've got a quarterback that's not used to being, the man, going to have to put it on his shoulders or his arm. And for that reason, and Wisconsin, they're gonna struggle to run the football. They're another team that's going to have to run the football to be successful. I just, at the end of the day, even though the Arizona State rush defense is very good, I think the rush defense of Wisconsin is better, and I like the matchup without the top 2 running backs for the Sun
Just saying, show me an offensive line in the Pac-12 that comes even near Wisconsin's offensive line. You can't. So I do think that even though Arizona State's numbers against the run were good, I do question the level of competition in terms of offensive line talent, because Wisconsin, whether you like the team or not, they easily have a top 5 offensive line in all of college football.
Very good. Elliot says he brought his friend there with his 18 teaser. Tells me to follow it. I ignored the thought, and he came up $1,200 off a $60 bet. Yeah, that's about the way that works.
But had you backed it, you both would have lost.
That's like
you got to take one for the team.
My first time at a high life, Fronton, Scott. I walked in. I had no idea what I was doing. I bet a 4-5-6 parlay. It hit for like $700. I don't think I ever noticed.
This is the easiest sport of all time. I haven't won one since.
How have I not been doing this my whole life? And yeah, you think you know how that ends up, as I probably didn't have much success after that. Daryl Turner looking for an underdog parlay, Scott. UC Davis, Weber State, St. Joe's, La Tech, Utah Valley, Utah Wizards.
It's a lot of teams. Okay. You want to unpack any of those in particular? I already mentioned Utah Valley. I think they're live. I think that they are arguably the better team here. And at home, they've been really good. So I like Utah Valley there. Abilene's numbers, I do think, are too inflated by the non-D1 competition.
Looking to see who's UC Davis playing. I can't find him on my grid.
Let me pull that up.
I don't remember running across that one. Football? No,
it's definitely not football.
And they're out of the playoffs. I mean, they're a good football team, but
they're out of the playoffs. Yeah. They had a game that got canceled, so they don't play today.
There you go. That's why I can't find them. La Tech. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to like La Tech so much this year.
Going up against Marshall. It's a team that can score.
La Tech's been disappointing to me.
They're not quite dead to you, but they're disappointing to you. You're not mad.
I'm also confused. How's that an underdog parlay if Louisiana Tech's favored by 6?
A good point. Hey, Louisiana Tech coming off a big win over Crowley's Ridge, buddy.
Huge. The margin, not the actual quality of victory.
43-point win over Crowley's Ridge. Good God, where do they find these schools? I'm guessing up on the ridge. Marshall team has been awful lately, though. Man, they can't score.
I got to root for Lofton. I got to root for Big Boy Lofton.
Yeah, he's slimmed down a little bit.
That's why they've been losing.
It's La Tech or pass there for me. Who else are we looking at? The Wizards tonight?
I see Elliot asking about a 3-teamer. The Nets, the Hurricanes, and Wisconsin. We talked about Wisconsin before, so I like them to win. The Hurricanes, they're against Montreal. I don't think I have to say anything more than that. Carolina's a good team. Montreal's not. And Brooklyn, I like them tonight. I'm looking at a spot against the Sixers where the Sixers ended up winning a game. Congratulations. You beat the COVID-riddled Raptors. Didn't cover, by the way. But you're facing off against a Nets team that has fared well against you this season. Harden is healthy. He looks really good. He had 39-15 the last game. And Durant's back. So you have your big 2 back. Kyrie is practicing, but of course they cannot play. He cannot play because it's in New York with the COVID rules. But you have Durant back in the lineup, and Harden has looked like his old self recently. I don't like this Philly team. They're not very good.
Very good. David Duke Jr., worst name for any basketball player ever?
No. I'm sure I've heard worse ones. The worst one I could think of.
You know who David Duke is?
Not really.
Okay, well that explains why you don't think it's the worst name ever. Trust me, it's the worst name ever. Look it up when you get a chance. It's not somebody
Okay.
you want to be
Keep that in
associated
mind.
with. Okay, good.
So JC's asking me if
Wisconsin
Wisconsin
care
cares.
tonight? Yeah,
I think
that's
they
to you,
do.
buddy.
I think they do because of the fact that you go through the normal situation for Wisconsin, which is usually a heartbreaking loss in conference play and you don't win the conference title. That's usually what happens every single year. And yet, you look at the actual recent results for Wisconsin in bowl games, they've done really well under Paul Chryst. They've had a lot of disappointing losses, and they've responded quite well to them. So
Yep.
I actually like Wisconsin to come out with a purpose here. They're really not a program that takes bowl games for granted. And you can tell by the amount of opt-outs or the lack thereof. The fact that really nobody opted out, because Wisconsin does have some talent that could go to the next level. I do think that the fact that nobody opted out is a testament to the fact Wisconsin is actually happy to be there.
I agree. Magellan Sports says second to Benny Bin Laden. Jimmy Hitler.
Oh, wait a second, Dave. That's the Ku Klux Klan guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's
cool.
who David Duke is. Elliot says, I've heard a lot of sharps and cappers against whiskey today. I don't know why.
My mind was not going to the Klan when you brought up David Duke Jr. Maybe it was the junior part, but I realized where you were going with that. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So David Duke Jr., that plays for the Nets, I don't know that I've ever seen him. Is he white or black?
He's black.
Oh my God, that's awful. His parents did that to him on purpose. Oh my God, I want to talk about that. No.
I think the only reason why I know David Duke is because of that movie, which was about the black guy that infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan. The Spike Lee movie that won something. I forgot what the name was.
I think it was Black Klansman.
Yeah, Black Klansman. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And I just remember that David Duke was casted as Eric Foreman from that 70s show. And I'm like, that's a pretty interesting casting.
I thought you meant Trading Places. It was the Dukes.
It was the
Dukes. I don't know why sharps are on Wisconsin or on Arizona State. I don't see anything to like about that.
Are they? The line's gone up to 7.
Well,
if
that's
sharps are on it, I don't know why the line would have jumped another point and a half.
Do you watch other people talk about games, Scott, before you handicap?
Not really. No.
Occasionally
I'll pull up an article if I just need a little bit of injury or opt-out information, just to give me a quick refresher. But no, I trust my own handicap.
Yep, I'm the same way. I don't at the end of the day, I don't have anybody that I trust more than me. That's just the way it is. Roland says Tennessee 14 produced 7 the first quarter. Yep, that's good news for me. Good news for my premium players. Good news for the over players. That's going to be exactly like what you always thought. Roll call was a hoot. No kidding. David the Italian says my normal bet is 11 to 33%. Really? God bless you. Ryan Page, Badgers Nets money line parlay. It's the Scott Reichel parlay right there. His 2 favorite teams.
I mean, do you dislike either play? Because based on how Philly's played lately, with Durant back in the lineup, the Nets look good.
Agreed. You like Pittsburgh against Michigan State?
We disagreed on that one.
Yep.
Truth is, if you're going to pass on a bowl game today, that would be the one that I would pass on because of all the opt-outs from both sides. It's really a question of who's going to either A, not look lost, and B, who's going to want it more. I went Michigan State because at least they have Naylor playing and at least they have their starting quarterback.
Yep.
But if Pitt wins, would I be shocked? No. I just said going into bowl season, I'm back in the Big Ten.
Very good. Nathan Cerna says he trusts his own handicapping with a little help from Chris King. I don't know. You can't go wrong there. All right, buddy, let's do it. Let's get to it. We've had some fun today, man. I like doing the live show because we can talk to people. So why don't a lot of these online books have odds on college football solo team totals? So annoying. Agreed. Fucking agreed. Put the numbers up there. You guys got loss mitigation departments. Put the numbers up there. Come on, for God's sakes. Okay. Yep. And Elliot, we'll close it up with Vancouver's a dog tonight in NHL. Hottest team in the NHL. You talk about the new coach. Absolutely. I think that's a solid play right there. All right, my friend. Well, let's do it. Let's get to it. It is time once again to see if we can get our little mini streak continuing here, Scott. It is time once again for you and I to put our heads together as we have done before the show and come up with our very best play. Put on your straw hats, climb on your John Deere, get ready to check out that new farmland because, guys, it is once again time to bet the farm. All right, sir. Scott, remind us again, how did we do yesterday?
We had LeBron getting a bunch of rebounds, and he had a bunch of rebounds.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw.
That
was good timing. I don't care what you say.
Okay. All right. Tonight, we do have one cooked up, and we like this one quite a bit. Scott, it's going to be the Oakland Grizzlies -11 over Bob Morris. Grizzlies, well, sir, they are playing just their second home game of the season. I know that is hard to believe, but they have played everything on a neutral court or on the road, with the exception of Toledo. And they were 2-point favorites to beat Toledo by 21. So hopefully they can keep that magic going as far as the home team goes. Robert Morris, 2-6 against the number on the road. They have failed to cover 8 of their last 9 overall. Not in good form at all. Grizzlies, very good defense, allowing opponents to shoot just 42.1% from the field and at 28.2% from downtown. Hard to figure out where the points are going to come for Robert Morris. And last but not least, if you like some Ken Palm, Oakland ranks 132nd in offensive efficiency, and Robert Morris ranks 247. That is a disparity that we are going to take advantage of, and that is going to be our bet the farm play. The Oakland Grizzlies -11 over Robert Morris. We're going to try to run our streak to 4 in a row, Scotty. So let's see if we can do it. And that is going to do it for our bet the farm play. We are going to do a show tomorrow. We're going to be talking about, of course, all the Friday games and entertaining questions on any of the bowl games on Saturday. Of course, you and I will be doing our Saturday Bowl videos here in just a few minutes. So if you guys are bored, if you really don't want to work here this afternoon, the day before New Year's Eve, I don't blame you. Check out our live bowl videos as we put those up for all the Saturday games. But
what do we got now? We got 5 of them.
We got 5 of them, buddy. And then after that, we just got the national championship game and K-State over LSU. So we'll be talking about that. Looking forward to it. But that's going to do it for the show today. You guys, as always, we appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you participating. Love talking to our people. Very good time. You guys have a great day. Good luck on all of your plays as the day goes on. Hopefully for me and my players, we can get Tennessee to just run it up here and take care of business. You guys have a great day. Stay tuned. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.